All right, Mike, starting off in the first leg of the pick six, you've got Splendid Garden, the half-brother to Soft Falling Rain. Do you agree with the Computer Form's comment that he ran in snatches last time out?
Andrew, he pinged the gates last time, and it always also gives us problems at the start. And I think he caught JP a little bit off guard, and when he pinged the gate, JP took a hold of him. And Gavin was quite smart there because he let his horse move along. And the next minute, the horse spat the bit out of JP, so he was under pressure, having to pick up the ground and chase him. I think he might have been better off just once he pinged the gates, just sit and holding him together and cuddle him and let him run with Gavin's horse. And I think it would have been a lot closer. But at the turnaround in weights, the weights still favour Orimpot, and he beat us last time, so he's better off than he was with us last time. So I have to have healthy respect for him. But there's also Paul Peters' African Rulers on the up, and I know that they rate highly. Healthy respect for him. As well as Joe Somers' horse Graduation Day. He's won his last 3 on the trot. And I think this would be the test for Joe's horse. I know Joe thinks highly of him. He's placed him perfectly. He's also gives Joe endless problems. So I have healthy respect for Joe. When he's got these good horses, he knows how to look after them. But my horse is not out of it.
Okay, Mike, on to race 6, which is a postponed race. And you've got the high-class ABASHIRI who runs off a 109. And, of course, you've got Arctica, Scheme of Things, and Wildbriar, all of 79, 76, and 82, all under sufferance compared to the big horse. What's the logic, first of all, behind running 4 horses there, Mike?
ABASHIRI, I think, is possibly one of the top horses for the season to come. But, you know, I don't want to go out there and shoot my mouth off because you always end up with egg on your face. The stranger things have happened in racing. But I'd be very disappointed if he couldn't win a race like this. Healthy respect for Mr. Ferraris, who won with consummate ease on the last start with Washong, albeit over 1400. I think he still has to prove whether he gets the 1800, but Mr. Ferraris is a wise man. He wouldn't have this horse in the 1800 if he didn't think he could get the trip. Rocket Ball, I see interesting jockey change from Muzieni to Stradom. He's won his last 2 quite easily, so respect for him, but he's beaten weaker company. I would be disappointed if ABASHIRI didn't win a race like this.
Interesting to note that because the race is postponed, there have been significant jockey changes. Washong gets the best of both worlds, having been in Cape Town and having won the Paddock Stakes. He gets back on a feature race contender.
Obviously, he couldn't ride him as he had to go down to the Cape last week to ride that horse of Alex in the Paddock Stakes. And then, obviously, Pierce Stradom was also down in the Cape, and they're back up, and the guys have taken the opportunity to put them up. I'm under a bit of pressure because I might even make a change on my horse and put Anton on my horse.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll know by the time this is broadcast. As we move on to race 7, I'm sure you have fond memories of a filly that Gene Hemming used to train called Spring Wonder. It doesn't always follow that they're going to be as good, but nice to see that Spring Wonder has already recorded a victory. There are no winners out of that form line.
Yeah, look, Spring Wonder's a decent filly. Andrew, she hurt herself in the juvenile feature last season, hence her being out for that time. But she's been putting up some decent work at home, and I think she's in with a shot. I'm not saying that she can win, but she'll make her presence felt.
All right, Gov, starting off in the second of the afternoon, horse number 7, New Delhi, with not so young Devon Abebe aboard.
Yeah, disappointed, I must say, up to now. I quite like this filly, and she's certainly shown us a bit at home. And I just thought, well, let's get back to brass tacks. Put her in a straight sprint and wind her up a little bit and put her in the race because, you know, the inside track doesn't suit every horse, and she never even really got into it, both of her runs. And I do feel she's better than that, so hoping for the best. But what we've seen of her at home really, should start to show here.
Okay, then you've got some strong representation in the first leg of the place accumulator with horse number 13, LEO ZODIAC, with a champion jockey aboard, and then Sir Nathan, horse number 10, with Chad Little in the irons.
Yeah, well, start with Sir Nathan. We've put a pair of blinkers on him, and it certainly seemed to sharpen him up at home. I must say I've been mildly disappointed because he's another horse that I thought, would have shown or been more forward anyway by now. So once again, put him up the straight and wind him up a bit and let him race now. He wants to race handy, well, let him, and he's fit enough to go right through with it. And, such a lovely bunch of guys. I really do hope that he puts his hand up for them because, like I say, we've seen the work and we need to see the results now. And then, of course, LEO ZODIAC, I hate to say put a line through the last run. It always sounds like an excuse, but the fact of the matter is he was chewing on the side of the stalls when they fired, so he was hopelessly left. Ran up to them, but no horse can put in a run at the 800 and expect to sustain it right through to the line. So it's one of those slow, rushed, faded runs. Very much better than that, and I quite like him. If he jumps on terms, which he should do, we've reschooled him at home. Not an issue really. He flies up against at home. I think he's a runner, Andrew.
Excellent. Then you've got the postponed race from last week, in which KILLUA CASTLE, horse number 4 and number 8, Master and Commander, do battle in a very competitive lineup.
Yeah, it's really competitive. KILLUA with his rating obviously looks like he's got a right to be there, and maybe Master and Commander doesn't at these weights. But start with KILLUA. This is his track and trip. He loves the 1800 on the inside, any inside and outside course. He just seems to be his perfect trip, and I think he's in very, very good shape. He won his last start. Look, he beat Legal Eagle, but I don't think there's anything to go by. He wasn't going to win the Queen's Plate, but I just feel that he's in very good form. Devon gets on well with him. Plus, he's got a handy draw, so it'll make life a lot easier for him. And I've always liked Master and Commander. I think he's ultra consistent, and he's a horse I think destined for better things. This is more a run, not that we're expecting to win it, hoping to run a good race, and he really should do. But we'll see exactly where we are and where we fit in the handicap. And if he runs a few lengths further forward than what he's weighted to, Roger's obviously a little bit sympathetic because it's not a big field, and I think the pace is liable to be false. But he's a lovely little horse, Andrew, and I've got designs on bigger races for him.
Super. Then we move on to a horse that rolls off the tongue really nicely, horse number 4 in race 6, and that's VAL ET.
Yeah, Captain Al out of a VAR mare, and I noticed the computer form feels that it might be a bit far for him. Well, I don't. I think his best win was over 1700, and that was at the VAL, so it's a very testing 1700. And he needed every inch of that to get back in front again, because he looked like he was going to get... he got there and looked like he was going to get caught again, and he went on again late. So I don't think the 1800's a problem, not at all. And if you look at him, he looks like an absolute staying type. He's, he's not a sprinter type at all. So I don't think the distance will hold any fears for him. I think it'll be better. And he's always been beaten for pace. We've tried him, you'll notice in the form 1400, 1450. We've done that because we were obviously trying to get him into the $1 million race, but clearly not his game, the 1400. So, now let the horse resume his normal career. And I think he's a runner, very strong field and full, obvious respect for the field. But I think you'll start to see the best of him now over this, slightly more extended trip.
Yeah, and if anybody knows about staying vase, it's got to be you with Princess of Light. Moving on to the final leg of the pick 6, you've got 3 runners in number 10, Charanga, number 2, His Legacy, who may run should the meeting be postponed on Thursday because of the weather forecast, and then horse number 11, who is Lord Windsor.
In Charanga, very, very good last 2 runs actually, and fortunately this time blessed with a good draw, which he hasn't had up to now. And I think he's a big runner. And of course his rival in the stable and the father and son rivalry, Tony and Nish and Moodley. Lord Windsor also well drawn and obvious chance again, I think, to both of them. Ultra consistent horses, and I like them. I really do think the pair of them have got to be included in everything.
Then you have one race break, and you move on to the 11th, where you've got 3 representatives in horse number 14, Dirty Champagne, horse number 12, Eurozone, and horse number 4, TJR.
Yeah, all 3 of them difficult little customers in their own way. TJR, I mean, he actually ran last, believe it or not, over 1400, but beaten under 3 lengths, and he got also hopelessly left. Look, we put a pair of blinkers on him. We've been schooling him out the gates. Of course, everything goes very smoothly at home, but come the race day, I just hope he jumps. If he jumps on terms, he's a mighty runner. He's very much better, I think, than this field, but that's got to happen. Anyway, hoping Gary can get something out of him there. Eurozone. I've left him in. He ran on Tuesday at the VAL. And it wasn't a bad run, but it was, for me, slightly below par, maybe, what I expected of him.
What is he, 5th or 6th there?
Yeah, he ran, I think, 6th.
Yeah.
But, I believe he's taken the run very, very well. He's as bright as a button and very fresh and well. So I'm gonna accept him. And I think, obviously, the softer the ground is, the more it might suit him. And I think it's very likely to be soft looking at the forecast. So we'll go again with him. And Dirty Champagne, well, thank heavens, we finally managed to get him in a race, and he's got a bit of a draw, so very useful little guy on his day. Had a bleeding issue down in Durban, but up here, we seem to be lucky with that, and we've obviously treated him, and he's been scoped, and he's clean as a whistle, so, I don't think that's going to be an issue, and I'm hopeful for him. I think he could run nicely.
All right, Matthew, race number 1. Number 2, FURSA, the daughter of Hard Spun, no related progeny of the mare, looks very, very well bred indeed.
Yeah, indeed, she's been showing us some decent work at home. It's obviously hard. She's our first 2-year-old runner here in Joburg, so there's not much of a line that we can use. I'm expecting her to give a good account of herself. It looks like a competitive field, but she should be right there.
Okay, then moving on to the first leg of the pick 6, the extremely versatile son of Duke of Marmalade. Excuses in his last run, as we discussed off camera.
Yeah, there's a couple of excuses last time. He came from a little bit too far back, so we'll let him stride a little bit this time, and he definitely will be more competitive.
Okay, then on to race number 5, where horse number 5, Flying the Flag, takes on a high-quality lineup, but nothing unusual for this really, really imposing-looking individual.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be difficult to beat French Navy, but we're trying the tongue towel and Flying the Flag. It does seem to make a difference at home. Nothing major, but it's a small field, and if the conditions come up wet, then he must have a good each-way chance.
Quite a bit of support for him in the betting last time out, and of course the Lormeron's Queen's Plate winner comes out of that form line.
Yeah, obviously it was quite a strong field as well. Inside track probably never suited him, but hopefully on Saturday he'll be at his best.
Okay, then finally moving on to the filly, number 12, Sharp Princess, who takes on a really high-quality field of colts and geldings.
Yeah, we're throwing her in at the deep end, but she is distance suited, and if she can run in the first 3, we'll be very happy.
The first of the afternoon sees number 8, Water Lily Lake, take her place in the race with Anton Marcus aboard. Speedy Family.
Yeah, Speedy Family. I think this filly's actually got a little bit of scope to get it, maybe even a mile, but it's a nice starting point. It's a very competitive race on pedigrees. I wouldn't be surprised if a filly like this had to pop up, but you know what I mean? I'm just hoping for a good run.
Super. Then on to the first leg of the pick 6, horse number 9, Kapitan, with young Raymond Danielson in the irons.
An honest horse, Andrew. I think it's a tough race. I'm sure he will show, but I'd be happy with the place.
Super. Then the postponed race sees the champion 3-year-old of last season, French Navy, and the good old soldier WHITELINE Fever resume battle.
Yes, the race obviously postponed from last week. French Navy's in good order, and we're hoping that he can come through here in this race. He looks like the right horse. WHITELINE Fever's done nothing wrong. He's coming back nicely to form. Pierre gets on well with him, and I'm hoping for a good run.
Onto the 6th race, you've got the 2 runners, the number 7, Escape Route, with Raymond Danielson, and MALAK El MOOLOOK, who is a horse that we've been following, and looks like he's set to deliver.
Well, I'm not sure he's going to get the trip, especially there has been a bit of rain about, so that's the test to see if he'll go a bit of ground. Escape Route, we know once the ground, but he's maybe second run coming a bit soon. I think he'll probably run above his rating, but obviously Michael, as his horse, looks very hard to beat.
Okay, then on to race 7, where you've got all of Heaps of Fun, number 3, MAMBONICK, and then number 6, Old M.
Yes, 3 nice fillies. I think there's 1 or 2 horses that are highly rated in that race that are obviously just still under the radar. Heaps of Fun, I think, is a top filly. I don't think she's a 6-furlong filly, and obviously we're just starting her off now, going into the autumn season. A nice little pipe opener, but it wouldn't surprise me to see her running on strongly at the end. She's really classy filly, and I like her a lot. Old M got a lot of pace, and I think she needed her last run badly, so I think she should be thereabouts. And MAMBONICK, I haven't tried over the trip yet. She needed her last run badly. She was off for probably close on a year, and I'm expecting improvement. So no real confidence, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them thereabouts.
Lovely. Then on to the 8th race, where you've got horse number 6, EPSOM Downs, Anthony Delpeche in the irons, and number 2, Run for Revelry with Anton.
It's a lovely coupling. I mean, Anton looks like he's on the right horse, but it wouldn't be a surprise for me to see EPSOM Downs come to form. Her last run was all wrong. She tried the blinkers for the first time and was far too handy. So given a patient ride, I think she'll be flying at the end. I think Run for Revelry, I think it's got one of Van Zyls to beat, but obviously she'll be very competitive. EPSOM Downs, I think he's going to run well. And WHITCHCRAFT, young up-and-coming horse with a bottom weight, but I think the 2 older fillies will probably be a bit strong at the weights.
Fine. Then on to the 9th race, where you've got Aslan's brother, number 3, Rumbling Line.
Yeah, he won a nice race. I'm hoping that he's not in love with the inside course, because his best runs seem to be on the inside course. I know that he runs very well for JP. We haven't got the best of draws, but I think we've got enough time to get him into a position down the back, and he's up in class, but I think he might be competitive.
First class. Then on to the 10th race, where number 2, For the Lads, the Group 1 winning filly, continues to look for the winner's enclosure, and it looks like it might not be far in coming.
Yeah, Andrew, at the end of the day, this filly, obviously, she's had her issues, but she showed signs of coming back before her last run, and I think maybe the going was just getting a little bit firm for her, and I think the sting out of the ground will definitely help. I can't have a lot of confidence, but I'm expecting a big improvement.
And then finally, the 11th race of the afternoon, the aptly named number 1, Lock Him Up with Andrew Fortune.
It looks like the right field for him. There was good improvement last time, and I think ridden correctly, which is probably Fortune's style, I think he'd be in with a chance.